The rain poured mercilessly over the grimy streets of Louisville, Kentucky, as Michael Peterson hurried toward the bus stop, clutching his newly purchased investment portfolio guide. At 43, after years working as a financial advisor at a prestigious wealth management firm, Michael had finally saved enough to open his own private practice. The weight of the decision to leave his secure job behind pressed heavily on his shoulders, much like the expensive designer sneakers he'd splurged on to mark this new chapter in his career. A skinny boy of about 12 huddled under the bus shelter, shivering. His feet were wrapped in newspapers, secured with fraying string, a makeshift solution to the holes in his worn-out shoes. Their eyes met, and something in the boy's defiant yet desperate gaze stopped Michael in his tracks. If this story has already made you feel something, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. "You waiting for the bus, too?" Michael asked, stepping under the shelter and shaking the rain from his premium leather briefcase, a gift from his last client at the investment firm. The boy nodded, his eyes fixed on Michael's sneakers. "Those are nice," he said, his voice carrying a hint of both admiration and resignation. "Bet they cost more than my mum's health insurance premium." Michael felt a pang in his chest. He'd grown up poor himself before a scholarship, and student loans had put him through business school. He remembered the shame of showing up to school in second-hand clothes while classmates flaunted the latest trends. "What's your name, kid?" "Cassius," the boy replied, standing a little straighter. "Cassius Clay." Michael blinked in surprise. "That's a strong name. Sounds like a champion's name." "That's 'cause I'm gonna be one," Cassius declared with unexpected conviction. "Heavyweight champion of the world someday. Just need to figure out how to afford training at the gym downtown. They got a youth program, but you still gotta have proper gear." "Can't train in these." He gestured toward his makeshift footwear. Michael glanced down at his own $300 sneakers, then back at the boy's determined face. Something about Cassius reminded him of himself at that age. The hunger, the drive, the refusal to be defined by circumstances. On impulse, Michael sat down on the bench and began unlacing his shoes. "What are you doing, mister?" Cassius asked, eyes widening. "Making an investment," Michael replied, slipping off the sneakers and holding them out to the boy. "Sometimes the best startup opportunities come from unexpected places." Cassius stared in disbelief. "You giving these to me? For real? What about your feet?" Michael reached into his briefcase and pulled out his old dress shoes he'd planned to donate. "I've got these. They might not look as cool, but they'll get me home." He smiled, feeling an unexpected sense of rightness in this impulsive decision. "Consider it seed funding for your championship dreams." As Cassius carefully removed the newspapers from his feet and slipped on the sneakers, his face transformed with a smile so brilliant it seemed to chase away the gloom of the rainy day. "They fit perfect," he whispered, standing up to test them with a few tentative steps. "But promise me something," Michael said, suddenly serious. "When you make it big, and I believe you will, remember that sometimes the smallest gesture can change someone's path. Pay it forward." Cassius nodded solemnly. "I promise, Mr. Peterson, Michael Peterson." He extended his hand, and they shook like equals, not like a man and a boy, but like two people standing at the intersection of their destinies. Neither could have known then how this moment would ripple through time, creating waves that would touch countless lives and alter the course of history itself. 15 years passed. Michael's financial consultancy had grown into a respected firm with offices in 3 states. His specialization in retirement security and healthcare investment planning had earned him a reputation as one of the most ethical advisors in an industry often plagued by scandal. Yet despite his success, He never forgot the boy at the bus stop, a memory that had taken on an almost mythical quality in his mind over the years. Michael sat in his corner office, reviewing a client's artificial intelligence investment portfolio on his tablet when his assistant knocked on the door. "There's a call for you on line 2, she said. He wouldn't give his name, just said you gave him his first pair of real shoes." Michael's heart skipped a beat as he picked up the phone. "This is Michael Peterson, the man who invests in dreams," came a voice, deeper now, but with that same unmistakable confidence. "You probably don't remember me, but—" "Cassius," Michael interrupted, a smile spreading across his face. "Of course I remember you." A deep laugh rumbled through the line. "It's Muhammad now." "Muhammad Ali. But yeah, same kid." Michael leaned back in his ergonomic office chair, stunned. He'd seen Ali's fights on television, read about his controversial stance against the Vietnam War, admired his principled sacrifice of his title, but he'd never connected the world-famous boxer with the boy at the bus stop. You're him, the heavyweight champion." "Will be again," Ali replied with characteristic certainty. Listen, I'm in town for a speaking engagement at the convention center. I've been trying to track you down for years. Those sneakers you gave me, I wore them to my first training session at the Columbia gym. Coach said I had the fastest feet he'd ever seen." Michael felt a lump form in his throat. "They were just shoes." "No," Ali corrected him firmly. "They were belief. Someone believing in me before I had any reason to be believed in. I never forgot that. Through all the fights, the controversy, losing my title, the struggle to get my career back, I remembered there was at least one person out there who invested in me when I had nothing to offer in return." Michael swallowed hard. "I'm honored you remember, but—" "I don't just remember," Ali interrupted. "I've been paying it forward, like you asked. Started a foundation that provides athletic equipment to underprivileged kids. We've helped over 5,000 young athletes so far, got sponsors, corporate partnerships, the whole digital marketing campaign bringing in donations. But we need someone who understands financial security to help manage the endowment. Someone I can trust." Michael's mind raced. His firm was already at capacity with clients, but this wasn't just any opportunity. "I'd be honored to help." "Good," Ali said decisively. "So I've got a mortgage on a building downtown, turning it into a community center with a boxing gym on the ground floor. Come by tomorrow at 10, and Michael, bring some sneakers. We've got more champions to invest in." After hanging up, Michael stood at his office window, looking out at the city skyline. The unexpected reconnection with Ali had shaken something loose inside him. For years, he'd measured success in client portfolios and profit margins. But now he wondered how many other lives could be transformed with the right kind of investment, not just of money, but of belief. He made a decision then. His firm would establish a startup incubator specifically for entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. They'd provide not just capital, but mentorship, business planning, and connections. He'd call it the Sneaker Fund. As Michael drafted the initial business plan for this new venture, he couldn't help but marvel at how a single impulsive act of kindness had set in motion events that would touch thousands of lives. The true return on investment, he realized, couldn't be measured in dollars and cents, but in human potential unlocked. The grand opening of the Muhammad Ali Community Center drew a crowd that spilled onto the streets. News crews jostled for position as celebrities, athletes, and local politicians waited for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Michael stood slightly apart from the main crowd, observing with quiet satisfaction as Ali addressed the gathered people. "Some folks think being a champion is about the belts and the titles," Ali was saying, his voice slower now but still commanding respect. But the real championship fight happens outside the ring. It's fought in neighborhoods like this one, where kids face opponents like poverty, discrimination, and lack of opportunity. Those are tougher opponents than any I faced in the ring. Michael watched the faces in the crowd, particularly the children, their eyes wide with wonder as they listened to the legendary boxer. Among them was a teenage girl in a wheelchair, her expression particularly intense as she hung on Ali's every word. "And this center isn't just about boxing," Ali continued. "It's about education, healthcare access, technology training, and financial literacy, because a true champion needs more than just strong fists. They need a strong mind and strong support." After the ceremony, as the crowd began to disperse, Michael approached Ali. The years had taken a toll on the former champion's body. Parkinson's disease had slowed his movements and softened his voice. But his eyes still held that same fire Michael had recognized decades ago. "You've created something extraordinary here," Michael said, gesturing to the new facility with its state-of-the-art equipment and classrooms. Ali smiled. "We created it. Your sneaker fund covered the down payment on this mortgage when the banks wouldn't take a chance on us." He gestured toward the teenage girl Michael had noticed earlier, who was now making her way toward them. "Michael, meet Sophia. She's one of our first scholarship recipients." Sophia extended her hand with confidence that reminded Michael of a young Ali. "Mr. Peterson, I've heard so much about you. The Muhammad Ali Foundation is funding my medical tech startup. We're developing an application that uses artificial intelligence to help physical therapists create better recovery plans for patients." Michael shook her hand, impressed. "That sounds innovative. What inspired you?" "My own experience," Sophia replied, tapping the arm of her wheelchair. "After my accident, I realized how much health insurance data goes unused. There are patterns in recovery statistics that could help personalize treatment protocols. I'm partnering with a health data security firm to ensure patient privacy while leveraging big data to improve outcomes." As Sophia explained her business model, Michael noticed Ali watching her with unmistakable pride. Later, as they toured the facility, Ali confided, "That girl reminds me of myself at that age. Doctors told her she'd never compete in sports again after her accident. Now she's revolutionizing how athletes recover from injuries." They paused at a wall displaying photographs of the foundation's success stories. Young people who had received support and gone on to achieve remarkable things. "Look familiar?" Ali asked, pointing to a faded photograph. Michael leaned closer. It was a newspaper clipping from years ago, a young Cassius Clay winning his first amateur bout. And there, barely visible in the background of the photo, were the sneakers Michael had given him. "You kept them all these years?" Michael asked, astonished. Ali nodded. "They're in a display case in my home office. Reminder of where it all started." He placed a hand on Michael's shoulder. "You know, I've met presidents and kings, been cheered by millions. But I never forgot what you taught me that day, that sometimes the most powerful form of belief comes from a stranger." As they continued through the building, Michael was struck by how thoroughly Ali had embraced the concept of paying it forward. Every aspect of the center was designed to elevate those who entered its doors, from the credit union offering fair loans to the startup incubator providing office space for new businesses founded by community members. Near the end of their tour, they passed a classroom where a financial literacy workshop was underway. The instructor was explaining investment basics to a group of attentive teenagers. "That's Maria," Ali explained. "Used to work on Wall Street. Now she teaches our kids how the economy really works. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to money." Michael nodded, understanding completely. Financial literacy is as important as physical fitness. Both are about building strength for the long term. Exactly, Ali agreed. Can't fight the good fight if you're drowning in debt or don't understand how to make your money work for you. As they prepared to part ways, Ali handed Michael a small box. Almost forgot, got something for you. Michael opened it to find a miniature pair of golden sneakers on a chain, a perfectly crafted pendant. Custom made, Ali explained. Reminder that sometimes the smallest gifts create the biggest ripples. Michael slipped the chain around his neck, too moved for words. As he drove home that evening, he reflected on how a single moment of generosity had multiplied beyond anything he could have imagined. The sneakers he'd given away had, in some cosmic accounting, been returned to him 1,000-fold, not in material wealth, but in the knowledge that he had played some small role in a cascade of positive change. 25 years later, an 83-year-old Michael sat in his modest retirement home, watching a special news report on his high-definition smart TV. The Muhammad Ali Foundation was celebrating its 40th anniversary with the announcement of a revolutionary healthcare initiative, a network of clinics in underserved communities that would provide affordable care regardless of patients' insurance status. The CEO giving the press conference was none other than Sophia, now a distinguished healthcare executive with grey threading through her dark hair. Our founder believed that everyone deserves a fighting chance, she was saying. With this new initiative, we're extending that belief to healthcare access. Using our proprietary data security protocols, we'll be able to offer personalized care at a fraction of the typical cost. Michael smiled. Ali had passed away years ago, but his legacy continued to grow and evolve. The foundation now operated in 17 countries, and the Sneaker Fund had helped launch over 300 successful businesses owned by entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. A knock at the door interrupted Michael's thoughts. His nurse, Jamal, entered with his afternoon medication and a curious expression. "Mr. Peterson, there's someone here to see you. Says he's from the foundation." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Send them in." A young man in his 20s entered, carrying a sleek leather portfolio case. "Mr. Peterson, I'm Marcus Clay. Muhammad Ali was my great-uncle." Michael straightened in his chair, surprised. "Clay? I thought Ali changed his whole family's name." Marcus nodded. "He did, but my grandmother, his sister, changed back to Clay after her divorce. Wanted to reclaim the family heritage." He sat in the chair opposite Michael. "I've been working with the Foundation's archives, documenting my great-uncle's life and legacy. I came across something interesting, the story of a man who gave him his first pair of real sneakers." Michael touched the golden sneaker pendant he still wore around his neck. "That was a lifetime ago." "Maybe for you," Marcus said, opening his portfolio, "but for our family, it's become something of a sacred story. The moment that set everything in motion." He pulled out a tablet and placed it on the coffee table between them. "I'd like to show you something, if that's okay." Michael nodded, and Marcus started a video. It showed Ali, in his later years, sitting in a comfortable armchair and speaking directly to the camera. "This is a message for Michael Peterson," Ali began, his voice slow but clear. "By the time you see this, I'll probably be gone. But I wanted to make sure you know what you started that rainy day in Louisville." The video continued with Ali, explaining how those sneakers had given him the confidence to walk into the gym, how they'd become a talisman of sorts during his early training. "You didn't just give me shoes, Michael. You gave me permission to believe in myself. That's something no one can take away, not even Parkinson's." Michael wiped away tears as Ali continued. "I've tried to live by the principle you taught me, that we all have the power to change someone's path with a single act of kindness. The foundation, the community centers, all of it started with you deciding a barefoot boy was worth your $300 sneakers. As the video ended, Marcus pulled something else from his portfolio, a small, ornate wooden box. "And he wanted you to have these back," he said, opening the lid to reveal the original sneakers, now cracked and faded but carefully preserved. Michael stared at them in disbelief. "I can't take these. They belong in a museum, or with your family." Marcus shook his head. "My great-uncle was very specific. He said they were always yours. You just loaned them to him for a while." He placed the box in Michael's trembling hands. "There's something else." The Foundation Board has unanimously voted to rename our main entrepreneurship program. From now on, it will be called the Michael Peterson Sneaker Fund. Later that evening, after Marcus had left, Michael sat alone with the old sneakers, turning them over in his hands. They seemed impossibly small now, nothing like the significant objects they'd become in his memory. Just ordinary shoes that had somehow connected two extraordinary journeys. He thought about the ripple effects of that rainy day, how Ali had gone on to inspire millions, how the foundation had lifted thousands out of poverty, how Sophia's healthcare innovations would save countless lives, all from a single moment of human connection. Michael carefully placed the sneakers back in their box and set them on his bedside table. Tomorrow he would call his grandson, a promising young software developer who was struggling to launch his cybersecurity startup. Michael had been considering helping him financially, but now he saw a better way. He'd take his grandson to visit the newly renamed Sneaker Fund offices. He'd introduce him to Sophia and her team. He'd show him that success wasn't just about having a good idea or even about having money. It was about being part of something larger than yourself, a chain of belief and opportunity that stretched backward and forward through time. As Michael drifted off to sleep, he found himself back at that bus stop in Louisville, rain pouring down around him as he made the split-second decision that would echo through generations. In his dream, as he handed the sneakers to young Cassius, he could see all that would follow, the victories and defeats, the struggles and triumphs, the countless lives touched and changed. And in that moment, as it had been in reality, the decision was simple. Sometimes the most profound investment a person can make isn't in stocks or bonds or real estate, but in another human being's potential. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who truly live. If this touched you, give back. Comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.